In continuation to the fungi, the second one is in previous class what we have discussed is Chytridiomycota, right? Chytridiomycota. Now we'll see about Neocallimastigomycota. This is very small phylum of fungi which consists of very few fungi, just one or two couple of important fungi. Now we'll just take a look into what are they. And I'm N.S. Shankar Reddy, PhD plant pathology. So previously we have discussed protozoa, right? All those things we have discussed protozoa, omicron, all those things. And when it comes to the kingdom fungi, the first one Chytridiomycota phylum we have discussed it. Now the second one is Neocallimastigomycota. So so these are all some common important features of this Neocallimastigomycota. This is a very small group of fungi, as I told you. So this is actually anaerobic fungi. Anaerobic fungi, what is anaerobe? Generally the fungi grow without oxygen. Aerobe means they strictly requires oxygen. Anaerobe means they can also survive without oxygen. And there are anaerobic fungi, which means no oxygen is required, and they found in the digestive tract of herbivores. So for example, you can take sheep or goats. They having a digestive tract, right? We can call it as rumen. We can simply call it as stomach. So there this fungi used to grow, and it causes infection to especially animals like herbivores. So which means it is an anaerobic fungi at mainly grown digestive tracts of herbivores. Then you can ask me, can't it grow outside? Mostly it is observed in digestive tracts of herbivores only. No reports of outside, I think so. And this organism was the first time it was discovered by Arfin in the rumens of sheep, as I told you. Rumen means I would say it is kind of stomach for sheep. Okay, and there, as mentioned, strictly anaerobic pathogen, which means the strictly it is not necessarily needed oxygen for their survival. And here the thallus is mono or polycentric. What is this monocentric or polycentric? So this kind of terminology is where we have already discussed in Chytridiomycota group of fungi. What is monocentric? Which means the thallus is converted into only one kind of reproductive body. It is called as monocentric, which means the thallus is or hypha is converted into only one kind. Poly means many, centric means if the thallus is converted into multiple number of reproductive bodies or many number of reproductive bodies, it is called as polycentric. And here the zoospores are mono or polyflagellate, maybe monoflagellate or polyflagellate. For example, you can take this is imagine this is a zoospore. Monoflagellate means consists of single flagella. Poly means it consists of multiple number of flagella. This is called multiple polyflagellate. So when it comes to this Neocallimastigomycota, the thallus may be monocentric or polycentric, and the zoospores also monoflagellate or polyflagellate, which means multiple number of flagella or maybe single flagella. It is a very important point that it consists of posterior polyflagellate 9 to 14 zoospores, which means posterior means downward direction, which means the flagella is downward direction, which consists of multiple number of flagella. It is 9 to 4 flagellation or polyflagellate, the two 9 to 4 number of zoospores are present. It is a very important one. And in absence of mitochondria, they can use uh, hydrogenosome to oxidize the NADH and NADH plus to release the hydrogen and byproduct. The point is we must understand something. Generally, all eukaryotic organisms, the energy generation is takes place from mitochondria only, because it is generally considered as powerhouse of the cell. So where all the energy that is required for all the cells and essential cellular functioning, the energy was generated by mitochondria. So without the absence of mitochondria also, it can produce the energy, especially this hydrogen production, all those things, by using this hydrogenosome, very important one. So which means this can survive without mitochondria also, because this hydrogenosome actually converting this NADH and NADH plus, right? So this is the factor of interest for many scientists, how this hydrogenosome enzyme is hydrogenosome that is converting NADH and NADH plus into the energy products or maybe hydrogen or other kinds of byproducts that is essential for the survival. As I mentioned, it is one of the model, this hydrogenosome, where many scientists are working on to understand this metabolic process in especially obligate anaerobic eukaryotes. These are strictly obligate anaerobic eukaryotes. They cannot survive without a living host. That to anaerobes, without oxygen they can survive. And the organisms are highly fibrolytic and produces polysaccharides. So they are fibrinolytic organisms, and they produce polysaccharides that actually degrading enzyme. So this degrading enzyme you can take consideration of bacteria. Bacteria produce some kind of cellulosic enzymes, right? So like that, this is also produce some degrading kind of enzymes, that is a fibrinolytic, highly fibrinolytic, and this is used to degrade this unlignified cell walls. As I told you, these enzymes are actually like a bacterial kind of enzymes. However, the bacteria is producing cellulosomes or cellulases. It is also produce some kind of enzymes. And this Neocallimastigomycota contains only one class, that is Neocallimastigomyces, and only one order, Neocallimastigales, and it consists of only one family, that is Neocallimastigaceae. And there are 6 genera given, that is Eneromyces, Cecomyces, Psilomyces, Neocallimastrix, Orphanomyces, and Pinomyces. These are all the 6 important genera. We're not going to discuss all these genera, but only one important genera we're going to discuss, that is Neocallimastrix. Let's see the some common features or important features of this Neocallimastrix. So coming to this Neocallimastrix, it consists of 5 species. It consists of only 5 species, and the zoospores are posterior whiplash type, posterior flagella type, not whiplash, posterior flagella type. It consists of 9 to 14 posterior flagella, which means posterior means downwards, which means a multiple number of flagella. 9 to 14 flagella are present, that actually provides a spiral movement. If you want, it can also provide a spiral movement. So it's like simply like I would say jellyfish, some kind of thing, right? It consists of multiple number of leg kind of things. I cannot say leg, I don't know what it called, but the having a multiple number of flagella on the posterior direction, it will provide a spiral movement for this, right? Generally these zoospores are forms a cyst kind of things around itself. That is also one of the important point. And this rhizoids, this anchoring organs, they were extensively branched. They were branched like too much branching. This generally rhizoids are helpful for all the zygomycotic and take rhizoids. Why these rhizoids are helpful? The rhizoids are generally an anchoring organ and also helpful as a nutrient absorbing organ, helpful for strong attachment, and as well also absorb the nutrient as well. And it also helpful for fiber degradation also, because it need to get the fiber from the rumen, right? From the host, so it will also degrade the fiber that is required. And the zoospores actually encyst immediately during the unfavorable time. So if it is an unfavorable time, it will produce zoospores. They immediately encyst, which means they will become resting spores. Again, this zoospore can revive into a normal periods after a very long probation period, or after a very long unfavorable survival time, and again they can able to germinate as a zoosporangia, which means during unfavorable time this zoospores encyst, and again after a long periods of survival, again they will germinate to produce this zoosporangia, which means consist of zoospores, right? And the only point is in this Neocallimastrix, sexual reproduction is not reported. Through only asexual reproduction it is producing. So far it is not reported sexual reproduction. Very important point is previously this Neocallimastrix is actually classified under Chytridiomycota, but their phylogenetic relations or phylogenetic distances that actually segregated or separated from the phylum, and again it erected a new phylum called Neocallimastigomycota. And as we mentioned, they are strictly obligated anaerobic rumen chytrids, which means obligate means they strictly require a living host. Anaerobe, no oxygen required. Rumen chytrid, which means grows in the stomach of herbivores. Further more information, students may refer this book, A Vision into Plant Pathology, a complete student version. For further doubts, clarification and guidance, student can reach us at www.geekyresearcher.com. Stay geeky and stay tuned. We are Team Geeky Researchers.